Continue.
Shook. Like that she laughed. Those days, in those societies, women were not supposed to laugh loudly. They're supposed to laugh in a controlled way. Only street women laughed loudly, family women laughed very… At least when men were there, they did not laugh, because there was nothing to laugh about. But she laughed in such a way that the whole street would shake if she laughed. So people said she laughs like a devil. Always, unfortunately, this is the whole thing. The devil is a laughing one. God is a dead serious one. It's your choice. So, she lived wild. Wild means, at the age of 67 or 68, she lost her husband, and then she decided, this is a very large land-owning family. So she moved out from the family and built a small temple with her own hands in somebody else's land. Somebody else means another family's land, not without permission, with their permission, but she was family's disgrace, because this family owns hundreds and hundreds of acres of land, and she sets up her stupid temple in somebody else's land. The whole family, oh my God, she's ashamed. And she built a temple, not for any god, she sat there. She's the main piece. No god, she just sat there and people started visiting her. And slowly, this following grew for her and she'll just live there. When we went there for vacation, she would come to see us. She was an incredible woman, she just captured me in a certain way, simply because one thing, she laughed. Another thing, when I met her, she was over 100 years of age, and her hair, full hair below her knees. She would leave her hair loose and dance like that. So I just liked… she was freaky. With her you could do anything, nothing was wrong. Where everybody else is constantly trying to tell you what's right, what's wrong, what's right, what's wrong. With this one woman you could do what you want, and she was fine. And sometimes, she would be crying and laughing at the same time. I'd ask, what's happening with you? Are you crazy? Everybody says you're crazy. Why are you crying and laughing at the same time? She would just burst into a hoot of laughter and say, someday you will know, and she would laugh. And I would see her like this. If they give her breakfast, she first goes and feeds the ants, then the sparrows, then the squirrels. Most of her breakfast is over in this. And people, self-appointed advisors, they come and say, you old woman, you just don't eat anything, you will die like this. All these advisors died, but she lived and lived. She buried her husband, her children, her grandchildren, some of her great-grandchildren, but she lived on. And many times I've seen her, after having fed the ants and everything, she would simply sit there, not even eating this little breakfast she has, tears flowing down her cheeks. And I would ask her, what's wrong with you? Because I thought she's very emotional about the ants, because I was 5–6 years of age, I was going stamping the ants, and she was so emotional, she never stopped me from even killing the ants, though she was feeding them. And then I asked, what's wrong with you? Why? She would say, I'm full. I don't know what the hell she was talking. It took me another 20 years to realize what she was talking about. So for me, she became the symbol of feminism for me. She was the ultimate woman because she fulfilled everything that she is expected to fulfill, but she was never a part of that nonsense. She was always beyond that. And this is because not you have great thoughts. Thoughts are very rudimentary stuff in human life. This must be understood, I'm sorry. Because I'm being introduced as a thought leader, I'm getting scared of that. See, thought is happening only from the limited data that you have gathered in your head, isn't it so? But there is something more phenomenal happening all across, isn't it? Hello? The intelligence of the creation is functioning right now here, is it or not?
Yes.
If you can transform a piece of bread into a human being, that means the very intelligence of the source of creation is throbbing within you right now.
Exactly.
Instead of identifying with that, we are unfortunately getting identified with what we accumulate, with the car we have, with the house we have, with the relationships we have, with the body we have, with the accumulated knowledge that we have. We have gotten identified with things that we have acquired rather than being identified with the source of who we are. So this is what consciousness means, but this will not come by thinking differently. You must touch that dimension beyond physiological and psychological process. This is something that must happen. When that happens, there will be no problem about who is a man, who is a woman.
Could you please tell us how we can touch that dimension?
We can start with a very simple process, which today tens of millions of people are practicing across the world. I brought this out because, when I was just about maybe 2.5 or around 2.5 years of age, my mother, her health was not good. So they sent me to my aunt's place who lived in my grandfather's house. My aunt was just married and she was only 18 years of age. She was that bubbly, joyful, loving human being that you can't stop her for a moment. And she took me in as her own and we became great friends. I was there for nearly 2 years maybe, but after that I came back to my parents, but I always developed that close relationship with her, not of an aunt, but we became buddies right through our life. Then a time came and her life went on like normal, marriage good, children cute, and the boy got educated and went somewhere and the girl got married as she wished and grandchildren came, everything wonderful. Then she got some ailment. Then she knew in the next 2 years she's going to die, max 2 years. Then I saw this wonderful human being deteriorating into nothing. Total mess she became. This such a loving, joyful, exuberant human being that nobody could stop suddenly became a wreck. I just looked at her. I was into too much travels here and there, I tried to catch up with her, but nothing much could be done with her because she just shattered. I just looked at her and saw the only problem with her is she knew two things, her physiological structure and her psychological structure. She managed it well and kept herself loving, joyful, wonderful, everything. The moment she realized these two things are going to end, she's finished. She's just finished. You can't believe such a wonderful human being became so nasty and miserable and broken. At that time I thought, this is something that needs to happen. So we started what is called as, in Tamil Nadu we started this Vurusuttu Anmikam. This means one drop spirituality. Everybody must have at least a drop of something which is beyond your body, which is beyond your mind, something within you which is not a concoction of your mind. A place to stand beyond physiological and psychological process must be there in every life. As a part of this, we launched what is called today being practiced by many people. Is anybody practicing Isha Kriya here?
Yes.
Yeah. This is a simple process. Initially, it looks like a psychological process because people can't keep their mind aside, they have to use it in some way. So we are going through the psychological process, but if you go deep enough into it, if you sit here, your body will be here, your mind will be there, what is you is little away from that. Once there is a little distance between you and your body, between you and your mind, this is the end of suffering. Because human suffering happens only on two different levels, physiological suffering, psychological suffering. Do you know any other kind of suffering? Hello?
No.
Physical suffering, mental suffering, this is all. Once there is a distance between you and your body, between you and your mind, this is the end of suffering. This must happen to you not at the end of your life, at the very beginning of your life, because the